This is Naruto the Unwanted Sage, part 1. So let's dive directly within this what if. We see Naruto Uchiha as he had been kicked out of the Uchiha clan for apparently assaulting an Uchiha woman who he hadn't truly assaulted. Since the Uchiha clan was all he ever knew, and since he was the reason behind the Nine Tails attack, he was forced into training at the young age of 3, and he went through training more brutal than that of Itachi's training by Fugaku Uchiha. At the young age of 5 years old, he had already unlocked his 3 Tomoe from the constant beatings. Basically, what happened was the best Uchiha healer healed him directly after he got beaten down by Fugaku, and it was basically the schedule. After he had gotten really pissed off, since he could not illustrate his anger on, redirect his anger into anything, once Uchiha Sasuke called him a demon, it exploded. As he unleashed a massive, he completely beat down Uchiha Sasuke. Shinobi Council. No. Close on the outskirts of Konoha. Naruto had gotten lost within the woods. As before he knew it, every he had completely forgotten about his day. No, as he was thinking about the events of his life, he had completely forgotten about where he was going and why he was walking. As a result, he had gotten lost. Naruto then looked around, as he had no one to train him. But since training was all he knew, he decided to train on the fireball jutsu. Fire style! Naruto yelled out as then blue flames began to erupt from his mouth. Hold up. Completely pure blue flames began to erupt from Naruto's mouth. As in his spare time, he had trained on the fireball jutsu since he had perfected it with the help of Fugaku. But he had learned of a new stage of the fire element completely. As the blue flames began to erupt from his mouth, it completely engulfed 3 trees, making the flames appear, turning it back towards its predecessor, towards the color of its predecessor, orange. As Naruto had to work on his flame, around 3 months later of working on his flame, we see Naruto spitting out a flame. And by this time, he was 6 years old. As he spat out a blue flame, it had completely consumed a tree, but it kept its blue color completely. I have truly perfected it. The fire element, that is, Naruto said, as then blue flames began to erupt from his back as he flew forward. As then he made a fire blade as he then sliced through a tree, not even setting it on fire. As he sliced through many trees, his flames stayed blue, as he had perfected the fire. Now, as to how he survived this time without being well nourished, he used his fireball jutsu and basic knowledge of nature, along with toughening up that was created by his harsh environment. Yeah, created by his harsh environment. This is my true power, Naruto yelled out. As once experimenting, he noticed something. He could summon oxygen from trees. He could summon oxygen from trees. And along with his flames, he felt as if there was a next level. His 3 months, one of his 3 months was used honing this, figuring out of a technique called Flame Sage Mode. Flame Sage Mode! Naruto yelled out, as then his hair began to float up as it completely turned pure blue with glimpses of white. As his body was there, but it seemed almost as if you could pass through him. As then he quickly kicked a tree. As the tree, he passed through the tree. As then the tree set on fire. He could permeate his flame ability. It also gave him the ability to do something that he didn't know of at first. Once in this mode, any flame jutsu that he had done any flame jutsu that he does completely reach the limit. Any flame jutsu that he does completely reaches his limit. With the fireball jutsu being something closer to Madara's Renegon Massacre. A fireball jutsu that I will be creating. The Renegon Massacre is an advanced version of the Destroyer Flame. And it can completely incinerate matter. As with the majestic Destroyer Flame, it was certain levels to which you can incinerate. But no matter what, you could easily, with this, you incinerated matter completely. As Naruto's mastery over this jutsu was further developed by his movement. As we did say that he was on the outskirts of Konoha. With his training required movement, since he had burned down certain parts of the forest. Eventually, over time, he had completely left Fire Country. Hokage's office. This is the third scout party this month. And they still haven't. Although they have found residue of flames. Residue from the forest. The trail runs cold. As they just see, we've only found landscapes that seem to have disappeared, leaving behind charcoal land. That's all. But after that, it completely runs dry. As Naruto had been practicing on his Chai-jutsu, his physical endurance, as the flame sage mode was, although it was good, it harmed his body more than it did to amp him because of how weak his body was. And since the flame sage mode is going to be stronger than regular sage mode, such as the toad sage mode, this he has Kurama within Naruto's mind. The boy reminds me of someone. The man, Kurama said, as he then thought of a man. Sosia Uchiha. That's what came to his mind. As he completely crawled. As he was the first person to introduce the fact that the Sharingan could control Tail Beast. That damn Sosia. As Sosia was also the first person to master Flame Sage mode. But Naruto mastered it. He had only reached an unrefined version of it. If refined to a great enough level, he could turn the flame completely blue. No, completely white, showing the purest form of the flame. Naruto's POV. Flame style. No, Naruto's POV. He punched the tree with massive force, as then he began to kick it. As Naruto was only 6 years old, and he could be easily classified as SS rank within the bingo book. We then have a time skip of 6 minus 12, 6 years. Naruto had completely mastered his Sage mode, and refined it to unknown levels. As his Sage mode was on par with Sosura Uchiha's Flame Sage mode, which was an accomplishment. Kurama's thought, this boy has quickly mastered the flame element and has surpassed Sosia in terms of power, except his sense he could use the flames more versatilely, since his imagination with the flames greatly surpasses the first flame master. Bastard, he thought. As Kurama tried to mess up Naruto's chakra system, but once he tried to anymore, he just got burned. It surprised him as red flames began to burn his body. Once he tried to mess with Naruto's chakra nature. As now, since he hadn't mess with Naruto's chakra nature, his chakra system anymore. Naruto's Flame Sage mode was able to rise immensely powerwards. We then see Naruto as directly within the picture, except imagine a flame or saying it.